Wow.
Did that
video. There we go.
Yeah.
We have video. We had video. We have video.
When?
And it's 7 o'clock. Hello, super busy people.
Hey,
We're
guys.
talking to you today. This is webinar. Can you believe it? Number 5. 5. Oh,
Whoops.
hey, we have people joining us. Welcome. It's 7 o'clock. And so we're just welcoming all the super busy people to our talk tonight, which is, are you busy or are you super busy and still feeling stuck? Because we're going to explore that tonight. It's a really common phenomena to have people that are, running around super busy and not really getting anywhere. In fact, I know I've been there before. Have you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we thought it would be a pertinent topic because it's actually getting to that busy time of year. We've pretty much almost got all the public holidays and Easter, and here on the Gold Coast, the Commonwealth Games is pretty much gone. So life gets back to normal groove now. So for us, it's important that when we actually are busy, we're actually productive, not just busy for the sake of being busy. So that's going to be our topic tonight. We're going to be covering a few notions around that and also what to do around the end of it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to bring some awareness to it as well, because a lot of this busy stuff can be happening unconsciously, and there is also a price to pay for just simply being busy, depending on what it actually is. So let's explore it, and maybe a few of these things will kind of resonate for you, and it'll give you a little bit of a heads up so that next time you're feeling busy, you'll be able to identify exactly what's going on and maybe what you want to do about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is one of the reasons we're actually busy is not because we have to be busy, it's because we want to look busy. And there's a couple of reasons behind that. And we all know people that we know of personally, or we interact with, or we see them on social media or whatever, and they're always talking or complaining about that they're busy. There's always something going on, that they're being distracted from one thing or the other, or some other drama has occurred. And humans aren't silly. We do things for a reason. We don't create a busy, chaotic lifestyle for no reason whatsoever. There's got to be a payoff in that. So that's probably the first thing to look at. So, Craig, why do you reckon that people get super busy and also, sort of almost declare that? It's almost a badge for some people, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. And it can sort of relate to, believe it or not a feeling, a deep down, again, unconscious belief around worthiness and not feeling worthy. So people can feel that if I'm busy and I'm out there being seen to be busy in the world, then that will make me more worthy to others. I'll seem like I'm on purpose, and there'll be a higher chance of me being loved, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. You'd never kind of equate being busy to these sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of us have a lifetime membership to the need to being needed. So that's not necessarily a good thing either. And so if we're super busy running around doing things, and we're busy for ourselves, but more importantly in this scenario, busy for everybody else, then we feel worthy, we feel loved. And they're two of the biggest fears that humans have. I'm not worthy enough and I won't be loved. So that's one reason. And another thing is significance as well, because, these are the people that have got the things on social media all the time. This happened today, and then that happened, and then the dog threw up on my shoe, and I got really busy, and all this crazy stuff. Mind you, they have time to put it on Facebook, which always makes me giggle a little bit. But it creates a sense of significance around that, and that's one of the 6 major human needs, isn't it? To feel that significance.
Yeah.
So, and there's something else that actually comes out of all this as well. When we're appearing to be busy, whether we are or not. Because I've known of people, myself included, where you put it out there to everybody that you're super busy, but you spent 2 hours with maybe the television on or something like that. I remember that in a former life, just going through the motions and looking really busy, and then it's like, I'll sit down. I've got a little bit of time. Let's whack the TV on, and then when everybody came home again, it's like buzz, busy again, and it was inauthentic. So I don't know if anybody else out there has experienced that before, or know of somebody that's done that before, but it's one of those things that can happen.
Surely not. So another one of the things that being busy can be all about is creating excuses for yourself. So, you know, you might get an invite to a party, and it may be that parties or, you know, gatherings of people are just not your thing. There might be some fear around that or whatever, some deeper underlying kind of fear there. But it gives you a good excuse. I'm just too busy. Can't do it this time. Maybe next time. You'll be too busy then, possibly too. But you know, let's see. So that's just another one of those things, is that it can provide you with an excuse to avoid things that you'd rather avoid.
Absolutely. I think I've done that before.
Same here.
Yep. Appearing busy then has several payoffs for us. So whether we're actually busy or not, or we kid ourselves that we're busy, or we just busy ourselves with unimportant things, then it's still important, I suppose, for our payoff side of things. But it's not going to get you where you want to go in life. So the other thing is that busyness is a well-honed procrastination strategy. Isn't it, Craig?
It is.
We spoke about procrastination last week a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen that webinar, go back through and look in the files part of the group, and you'll see we've listed all the webinars there. And now we'll just add to that. My dog wants to bark.
Furry doorbell.
Furry doorbell. You don't bark for no reason. So go back and watch the procrastination one, because again, it's one of those things we can be very good at as human beings, and not getting what we want out of life and wondering why. So Craig, as far as a procrastination strategy goes, how does busyness work? You're procrastinating answering my question.
I am. Well, it can appear like to yourself, you feel like you've got all these things on. I've got to get the washing done. I've got to, you know, get some shopping done, or any of these things. Whilst these, and the problem is they're all valid things. They're all things that they need to get done. But it's interesting that the timing at which they become vitally important, usually when you've got the exam coming up the next day, or you've got something you have to deliver shortly, all of a sudden, you know, the sheets need to be desperately ripped off the bed.
You know what my biggest one was?
What was that?
Cleaning out the fridge. Like at exam time, I had to clean out the fridge. And the other thing, in November exams, I had to watch Bathurst. I have no real interest in motorsport. I mean, it's okay, and I like driving cars fast. If you saw my rally video, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I just, for some reason, I had to know how Bathurst unrolled. Like, were there going to be any crashes, and how the guys go getting around, who won, and so there was a whole day of study that I didn't have to do because I was busy watching Bathurst.
Yeah, very important stuff.
And dust bunnies under the fridge. That was the other one. Yeah. All of a sudden the dust, that had to be attended to right then. Couldn't wait another couple of weeks.
It's a couple of examples. There might be others. You know, you might all of a sudden need to ring a family member that you haven't spoke to in a week or a month or whatever, and that becomes vitally important right now, instead of doing something that really is important for an end goal that you're actually going for.
Yep. And we had to do check the Facebook, check Facebook, of course. Some people do that first thing in the morning. That's their priority. Emails. One thing that I learned a while ago, and I thought, well, why do I need to have the email notifications coming up all the time? You know, if it's an email, it can sit there for a little while. So now I only check my emails a couple of times a day, and it's not constantly bombarding me with these, crazy bing noises and all that sort of stuff, and distracting me and making me feel busier than I actually am. Yeah. So it's just an intrusion, and it doesn't really need to be there. If they send it by snail mail, it'd be a week before I get it probably. Yep. So the email can wait a few hours before it's actually time to check the emails. And I certainly don't even do that first thing in the day anymore. It used to be my go-to first thing, but then you just get too chaotic. You're getting busy with everybody else's busyness before focusing on what's most important for you. So I leave it till later in the day now.
And so the effect of being busy and not like more of an avoidance type busy can also be that you're putting off achieving the things that you really love in life. So you're just long fingering them, you're pushing them out, you're avoiding them, sort of thing. And again, the sneaky thing is that often it's unconscious. It just, these things feel like they've got to be done yesterday.
Absolutely.
So they can keep you from getting what you want, essentially.
Yeah. And they're really good. These valid things are really good at distracting us from reality, just not keeping focus on what's happening and I mean reality in terms of what we want to create, not reality as in, oh, there's a drama over here and there's someone needs attending over there, because that's just the same stuff. We're just creating, again, busyness, so out of stuff that's not important. So there's a few costs to this, isn't there, to being busy, super busy all the time.
Yeah, you lose focus and you lose purpose. So you can feel eventually like you're going around and around in circles, and you just, you cannot work out why you're getting the results you're getting, and you're not getting what you actually want in life.
Yeah,
it's definitely one of those things.
Because most of us, we feel like we're spinning our wheels and we're like, there's a lot of stuff going on and we should be getting somewhere. We have that unmet expectation coming out of the whole thing. So, but really, if we look at it and we actually break it down to what's happening in our day, it's not producing what we really are going for. We're just busying up with activity. We're burning up energy. We're burning up focus, time, even money at times. And there are 4 key resources that we all have to use. So it costs us a lot, really.
It does. And also we can find ourselves spending our time, or our awareness is always in the future. So, waiting for that pending holiday and not being present, not really living now, and that can cause a lot of suffering as well. So you're not living, you're just you're on pause really when that's the case. So
absolutely. And of course, when you feel like that, you lose connection with people. You just don't feel like you've got that ability to be there for them. You can't be present with them, and your mind's always off on the next thing. And we train ourselves that way because the mind gets used to being entertained by having a to-do list and lots of things, and not being in the present means you're always, as Craig said, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. You're not living where you are right now, not mindful, have no appreciation for what you're actually doing or who you're talking to. And of course, you can't be connected really to your purpose that way either. So there's a very, very big cost to constantly identifying with being busy for the sake of busyness.
And when you're doing it as well, what you're doing is you're shifting your focus across onto being busy. I'm busy. That's where my focus is. And guess what happens when your focus is held on being busy? Guess what you get more of? It self-perpetuates. So whatever you hold your focus on, there's your power. You're placing it on what you want more of. And sure enough, you'll find that, there's this vicious little cycle starts to kick in, and you do find yourself busy. Busier than what you can actually handle. So absolutely.
And if it's directionless busyness, it just ends up creating chaos. You just end up with more directionless busyness on top of each other, and eventually you're just trying to manage the Titanic as it's sinking. Yep. And we teach yoga classes, so we know when we've got people in the class, we say to them when we get into what they call shavasana, dead body pose, you've pretty much got to stay really still. It's hot yoga, so there's usually sweat dribbling in your eyes, or there's things that feel a little itchy, or straps that need to be tweaked, or whatever. You didn't quite settle on your mat right. But once you get there, you've got to be really, really still. And they say that the stillness in the body eventually will translate to stillness in the mind. And we can usually tell those people who've got super busy minds, because no matter how many times you say to them, be very still, only the breath, nothing else, just be really still, they're still fidgeting and they're still mucking around, they're wiping their hair and they're moving their towel and they're wiping some sweat and having maybe a drink. Oh, I don't say that very often. but there's something going on. They can't actually be still. They can't stay with it, especially even in yin class. It's really apparent there as well. So it's a skill. It's something that we have to relearn how to do, like a lot of the things, because we've unlearned them. We've decided that our importance, our significance comes from the amount of activity that we do, the amount of effort that we put in. And we've got this notion that in order to get what we want in life, we have to give. And whether it's giving in an appropriate way or not, it doesn't seem to matter. We just seem to think, okay, if I put out the effort, then I'm going to get the return. Doesn't necessarily work that way. There's a bit of a shift in the energy as far as having an expectation on a return, or giving just for the sake of giving. There's a whole different realm there. And again, another topic that we can cover at some point as well. So when you're finding yourself in that super busy role, what do you do, Craig, to sort of bring that craziness out of your thinking and your strategies and the way that you operate in the world?
Yeah, well, I think like short-term, immediately sort of thing, once I become aware of it, because, you know, I'm not always aware of it. So when that does happen, then immediately I can, you know, sort of start come back to breathing using some of those yoga techniques, meditation. If I'm starting the day, usually if I'm grounded and, you know, open, and I set myself up with some meditation, then that helps me to that groundedness can help me to not get lost in busyness as well. So there's more consciousness going on, you know, living more in the moment rather than kind of projecting backwards or forwards or whatever. That can really help. So just more being more
and how do you recognize that you're getting a little bit into that busyness thinking? Because I know what I do. I'll let you know in a sec. But what do you do?
I talk faster and I talk a lot. Linda won't have noticed at all, probably. And yeah, I do.
He has a million ideas and they just come at once. It's like, whoa, hang on, slow down, dude. You know, you should write a book. That's how we joke. But yeah, and for me, it's actually, I start to feel that little bit of overwhelm going on, because I know I've got a good, you know, a big capacity for taking on lots of things. That's sort of part of my nature. But also, if I start to feel a little overwhelmed and scattered, and I start to lose, like I was doing some things the other day, and because I'm not in that busy mode anymore, that undirection busy mode, indirection. Anyway, lack of direction busy mode. I don't really get there anymore. So it sort of started to feel a little bit weird to me, but I just couldn't really get my flow happening. I couldn't get those thoughts together, and I felt a little lost. And I think I even said to you, I feel really scattered right now. I just can't get my head around what needs to happen in the next little while. And I think it was just because I was busy and I was letting other things come in rather than just keeping a focus and keep coming back to my purpose and my vision of where we were heading with what we were doing in that moment. So that's how I've learned to recognize it now. And I think once you've got that awareness, then you can sort of take it from the unconscious craziness to at least consciously being aware that it's happening. And from there, you can actually make a choice. Like, what choice do I have to make right this point, right this second? And do I want to make a choice of something that's important versus something that's a low priority action, like dust bunnies under the fridge? What's most important to me right now? So yeah, that's how I tend to bring myself back to focus. So, but your morning rituals are fantastic. Like, that's just a really rock solid way to set yourself up for the rest of the day. And how do you go when you miss your rituals in the morning?
It doesn't feel as good.
Not quite as good. It's just, focus a little more scattered.
Yeah, when you're used to being, you know, grounded and centered, when you're not, you notice it big time. So yeah, cool. No, that's good. And so the more you learn about yourself and how you can find these things coming up, it's easier to manage because we're different. We have different ways of feeling and expressing that busyness is taking over, or the procrastination thing, or any of the other topics we spoke about. So knowing yourself is actually a really important step in all of the processes that we do. And it's not, as I said on previous webcasts, it's not about fixing something that's broken. You're not broken. There's nothing to actually fix. Awareness will take care of most of it. It's more about looking at it for the situation and knowing, is what I'm doing, is what I'm thinking, is who I'm being right now moving me closer to what I love, or is it not? Is it taking me further away from it? And that's the most important thing. Same thing with busyness, same thing with cluttered mind, cluttered thoughts, cluttered house, whatever it happens to be. And so from that point, when you've cleared the decks a little bit, what can we do from there? Good question.
Well, I thought you were going to tell us about inspired natural action at that point in time. Because
I would like to, actually.
I thought you did.
So there's a big difference. I was going to say that when somebody's busy, to the onlooker, if you take two people, one person is busy in chaos and the other person is operating out of inspired action, both people, to the onlooker, can look equally busy. And to the onlooker, it's not evident which one's which. But when you're experiencing one versus the other, there's a massive difference. So one feels out of control and it feels directionless. It feels like you're in a boat and the rudder's been snapped off and you're drifting, but drifting busily. The other one, it's like when you're on you're in the middle of a project, and it doesn't matter what it is, whether you love to build things or create things, writing a book, you name it, whatever it is, you might be able to relate to it when you find it hard to go to sleep because your mind's got all these cool ideas coming through, and when you finally get to sleep, it flashes through and you're awake again. It's like as a kid waking up on Christmas morning, you know?
Yeah.
And so you cannot wait to get back at what you're doing. And usually while you've been asleep, there's these other cool ideas have come in that you're going to implement into what you're working on. That's inspired action. And you can find yourself equally, if not more, busy than you are in the chaotic version. But when you're in the inspired action, there's energy that flows in and through you that you couldn't be bothered with eating almost. And there's just so much energy
time
there.
flies.
Time flies.
Yeah.
So you'll have probably, no doubt you'll have felt it. But that's the difference. And I just wanted to point out, so it'll give you an idea of how to know when you're maybe in one or the other.
Yeah, and that's one of the signals that I get when I'm like, oh, I must be really coming from where I want to be. We're from my heart, from, that space. That's what's drawing me along. So, yeah, it's a fantastic place. Much, much more fun to be busy with inspired action than busy with chaos and whim and all that stuff that comes along. And as I said, it's mostly somebody else's chaos that you're responding to anyway. So, bugger that.
And another really good reason for having those, for clarifying what it is you love in life. What are you going for? If you've got no idea, then that is like that rudder being removed, But once you've got some clarity around that, you're formalizing your choices. A little bit of a different topic here, but every day, then it's like putting that rudder in the water and going, on direction sort of thing.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that we will be covering in the Unstuck and Unstoppable retreat will be focusing that attention and actually finding what you want to go for, because a lot of people, and I know even myself, not that long ago, we're sort of wandering around a little bit, lost in the dark. What am I going to do when I grow up? I should know that by now. But really it was that sort of lost feeling, and I don't think I'm alone. I've spoken to many people who still have that feeling, and I don't really know what I want to do. I just know there's something more in me than what I'm currently doing. So we help to refine that. And then how to clear the way so that you're actually in that flow, 90% of the time. Well, it can't be 90%, but majority of your day, so that you can be in the flow and really living from that level of flow and feeling amazing about it. And even though you're busy, it's busy with a purpose. And it's amazing how the other chaos drops off the side. And you think, oh, well, I'm neglecting my kids, or I'm neglecting this, or I'm not. But you actually become more inspirational to those people because you're living through your authentic self. You're no longer just doing the do. You're not just being one of the masses just doing their thing from 9 till 5 and coming home watching the news and all that sort of stuff. It's completely different. We are here giving our webinar tonight, and it's because we just love it. It's our passion. It's sharing this information with you is something that we absolutely love to do. And when we're preparing for these Thursday nights, sometimes it's a punch up, but only usually one.
And I never win. Haven't won one yet. We're
going to have to stick to thumb wrestles soon.
Yeah.
So, that's what we're working towards. Now, there's a few of you coming along in May, which we're really excited about. That is going to be a really special retreat, because being the first one, it's going to be incredible. We've collated it and we have all that information ready to go. And then we know there's also a magic that comes from immersing with a group of people and learning together and growing together. And some of that growth, of course, will be with us. As we present this in this format. So that makes it incredible. And there will never be another first. That's it. You guys are on the first one. You're the only ones who are ever going to have that experience. We've had a lot of inquiries about October after we mentioned that the other day. So as soon as we have confirmation, we will be announcing those dates. But if you can come to May, just cancel everything. Stop being busy. Come along, because as I said, it'll be the only one of the number one.
Get your rudder in the
water. Get your rudder in the water. Absolutely. Don't wait till October. You could have circumnavigated the world by the time you've done 5 million circles.
Oh yeah.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Next week will be our last one before retreat, so don't miss out. So get on here live so you can ask some questions and you can sort of interact with us. Hopefully over time we'll be able to have more and more and more interaction with each of you live, so that then when people, the unfortunate people who missed the live and had to watch the recording, they'll feel like they really missed out. So make sure that you're on, and if you've got any questions about our topic, which we haven't decided on yet, again, another punch up is on the way because there's a few good topics on the loose. And yeah, get in contact. And if you are watching the recording of this one, any questions, pop them in the comment section of the group call, and we will get back to you as soon as we can.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing you rise to a whole new level over the next week or so. Not being as busy, but really just being focused, busy on your purpose, your mission. Have an awesome evening.
Yeah, have a great one, guys. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for plugging in.
Fantastic. See you.